Hey ladies, I'm reading an email from a subscriber today, and this is the second wealth video I'm making. Here's what she writes. Hey Noir, I'm a high school senior trying to figure out what I want to do after graduation. I don't really know what career I want yet, but I do know I like working by myself and not in big groups. I'm not interested in getting married or having kids, but I definitely want to make sure I'm not struggling because I'm trying to break generational curses. I'd love some advice on what kind of career paths might fit with that. So it's fine that you don't know what you want to do yet. Most people don't know what career they want while they're in high school, and 80% of college students change their majors. So once you pick something, you don't have to 100% stick to that. What you want to do right now is explore your interests, keep an open mind, and look up which skills can apply to a variety of careers. Don't fall for scams and pay money for most of these skills because majority of them are available free online. Since you know you like working independently, that narrows it down. And then you know you don't want to earn less than 6 figures, which also removes a lot of jobs. Whatever you choose to do, after you turn 18, you should have some type of job so you can make money and gain experience. Experience is more important to most companies than education, which is why so many college graduates right now who never worked are struggling in the job force. I think it's a good idea to speak to successful adults of all ages because a successful 50-year-old will probably give you slightly different advice than a successful 25-year-old. If you're in a space where you see someone that's very wealthy 9 times out of 10 as a young person, if you ask them about what they do, they're more than happy to tell you. Even better, you can find a successful Black woman and she can eventually go on to become your mentor. So you can start your networking early on because that's the best way to find a career you might not have been thinking of, or you can get to know someone that can be useful to you in the future. Join spaces where successful women are, and that can help you also. For example, I went to a lunch that was hosted by women who like buying luxury items, and I was the youngest person there. And once I was there, I met a Black woman who was a CEO. And this is a woman who I otherwise would not have bumped into any other time in my daily life. So don't be intimidated to put yourself in certain spaces that you might not be fully comfortable with at first. If I were you, I would make a list and end up with 3 different options you want to take. So first off, you don't have to go to college. It might actually be better for you to avoid doing that if you have a home that's safe and you can stay with your parents because housing is the biggest expense. If it's not a safe home or environment, I would recommend going to college and get a dorm for at least 1 or 2 years just to get yourself established. The National Guard or military is also an option for people who don't know what they want to do. This is something that a lot of girls are not told about because it's mostly advertised to high school boys. But it does come with benefits, such as after your service, you get free college, you get access to certain home loans that other people don't have, and other benefits. The most important part, though, is that they can give you a free training for certain careers that can transfer it over to a career after your service. Because college is so expensive, if you don't have guaranteed scholarships or grants, you should be prepared with the fact that you have to pay off debt, and each semester will cost you thousands of dollars. If there's 4 semesters per year, I think it's more helpful for Black women to see college as an investment instead of seeing it as only education. That way we can choose better when we're picking a major that's either going to give us a return on our investment or just be like gambling and throwing money to something that didn't really give us what we need back. Remember that student loans are paid back with interest, meaning there's more money that will be added to the loan amount, and the longer it takes you to pay it off, the more you have to pay back. When you start off at 18 years old, you have either no credit or a really good credit score, and the goal here is not to ruin it and have to build it back up again. So just to be aware, if you do decide to go to college, that's going to give you debt, and if you don't make the payments for it, it's going to hurt your credit, which down the line can give you obstacles because it can stop you from getting approved for a car or housing. The higher your credit is, the lower payments you have to make when purchasing certain things. There are alternatives to going to college, and I do think it's important to be looking those up. So you can go to a cheap local community college, go to trade school, join a branch of the military, like I said, or look up online boot camps. It all depends on what you want to do. And then we have to be aware of the fact that a lot of the labor force will be replaced by automation. So when you're choosing, you want to pick a career and a skill that's common enough for you to be able to jump from company to company and not be stuck, but also niche enough to the point where not just anyone can do your job. That way you protect yourself from being both replaced by automation and replaced by a worker who is an immigrant or the company outsourcing your job to people that live in third world countries. So for example, a good thing that some doctors do is instead of becoming a general physician, they'll pick a specialty. And when they pick a certain specialty, they actually end up getting paid more and their skill is more desirable and rare. General physicians make about half the money that cardiologists make. General physicians cannot do a lot of what cardiologists do and cannot replace them. I do honestly think that a lot of younger Black women are struggling with being put inside boxes of comfortability, so they aren't really open to trying careers where we don't see a lot of our own. So when you are doing your search for your top 3 careers, you definitely want to keep in mind to not just do something that you see other Black women doing, but just what suits you best. I went through a lot of careers that earn 6 figures. Some of these require college, and some of them you can get into from going to trade school. Aircraft mechanics, air traffic controller, ultrasonographer or diagnostic medical sonographer, dental hygienist, respiratory therapist, data engineer, cybersecurity engineer, mobile developer, physician assistant, radiation therapist, nuclear technician, elevator installer or repair. These are some that require college. Anesthesiologist, physician, intellectual property attorney, medical lawyer, tax attorney, patent attorney, software engineer, petroleum engineer, computer hardware engineer, psychiatrist, pilot, nurse practitioner, biomedical engineer, dentist, neurologist. These are some examples of the top earning careers in the country. What you want to do is remove what doesn't fit the lifestyle you want for yourself. For example, you said you like working alone, then you would remove jobs like physician because we know physicians work with people all day. Something like a software engineer sounds good. And then we have to keep in mind that a lot of people are being laid off right now from their tech jobs. Because of automation, they don't have the best job security, and tech is changing very quickly. And unfortunately, the tech field got very oversaturated in the past 5 years, so I would be very careful with choosing tech jobs. If that's something that interests you, then I would go the route that most people are not going and pick something more niche. If none of those careers interest you, then I would suggest looking up more careers that have similar pay. Usually the careers that you tend to work alone in will advertise themselves as you working independently, so that's one thing that you want to be on the lookout for. Majority of jobs that allow you to work independently are jobs that can be done remotely. You want to keep in mind, what else do you want out of your career? If you want to be able to travel freely, you definitely want a job that can be done remotely. You don't want a job that requires you to live in a super expensive city and be tied to one place. If you love traveling, you would want a job where you only need your laptop with you so you can go where you want. One thing to definitely avoid is listening to saboteurs who have made bad decisions and wanting company in their misery. They'll probably tell you to do whatever you want and follow your passion or dreams or something, which is just not the best advice. I think it's because as a society, we fail to separate work from the rest of our life. You can have a career and still have a passion outside of your career. And you can have a career and still work to make your passion a side hustle outside of your career. You can be an airline mechanic and start a fashion business or something. And if that business blows up and makes you a couple million, you can retire off of that. Or you can be a lawyer and make art in your free time. It's definitely time for us to prioritize income and the lifestyle we want from our careers. There's no reason to live in the extreme that other people live in where you have to do one or the other. You can just do both. I think the graduating generation can be better prepared for their adulthood when people explain that work is work and it won't always be easy. There's realistically no job that will be perfect. Even if you find a career that you love doing, there will be times when you just don't feel like studying for that job or working, and that's very normal once you actually start making money. Stick to the 50-20-30 rule. 50% for needs, so half of your income should go toward essential expenses, things you can't live without. This includes rent, groceries, utilities, transportation, and any other basic living costs. This is going to increase with inflation. That's why it's important to be making money while you're still in school. 30% for wants. So about a third of your income can be spent on non-essential things and just splurging on yourself. This covers dining out, entertainment, hobbies, etc. 20% for savings or debt repayment. The final portion should go into building your future. Use this for savings, investments, or paying off any debts you have. This is key to long-term financial security and planning for big goals. The big goals you have are paying off school debt and saving up to buy land, and preferably you want to pay cash for whatever land you purchase so you don't have payments and debt looming over you. You want to maximize the money you make each year, and you do that by keeping debt low or non-existent while putting your saving in a high APR savings account. An APR savings account pays you interest based on an annual percentage rate APR, which helps your money grow over time. The higher the APR percentage, the more you earn on your savings. If you keep money sitting in your checking account, it'll lose value because inflation decreases the worth of cash. If you don't put your money in savings, then you want it to be invested in land and certain stocks. That's where it will hold and increase in value. Definitely work towards networking with Black women who are like-minded to you and will be upwardly mobile with you. It can be an easier process going from being in poverty to being wealthy when you're with someone else who also is working towards bettering themselves, but you don't want to be completely dependent on others because at the end of the day, it is your life. You said you don't want to marry, and since there's so many economic problems that Black women will have in the future, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people claiming if you don't have a lot of money, then you need to go find a male to marry in order to feel like you aren't struggling financially. This is very predatory, and Black women who actually have well-paying careers on their own will be the ones to ignore and sift through that BS easier. Even if you do decide to get married in the future, you don't have to have kids. I think it's really important that we stop giving birth so frivolously and stop having so many kids. So definitely stick with your own goals and your own life. 10 years from now, you probably won't want the exact same life that you want now, but at the same time, you don't want to change your life goals to fit what someone else wants. If you choose to get married or be in a long-term relationship also, protect yourself financially. We are women who deserve to be spoiled and taken care of. But unfortunately, we're not in a position where we can stop making our own money because that puts us at risk of financial abuse and being dependent on others who don't have our best interests at heart. This is why when you're making money, you want to invest. The best thing you can invest in is property. As you get older, make sure that the media you're consuming starts to graduate from only entertainment to include informative content. There are channels on YouTube where Black women are talking about the economy, talking about careers, and just generally financial literacy. One of the best channels is Clever Girl Finance. You don't want it to consume you and stress you out, especially if the future economy is a recession, which it probably will be. But you just want to be informed and normalize grown-up topics so you aren't the last to hear about something important going on. So hopefully this was helpful. I can't tell you exactly which career to do because it's up to you. Definitely go and listen to the last video where I talked about lifestyle creep. If you do decide to go a certain route, you can send me a follow-up email if you want to, but you don't have to. So ladies, if you want to, you can send in explaining your career and financial goal and what you're currently doing to work on it. Your college major, if you plan on going to college, or alternatives such as trade school, certifications, etc. Try not to send anything too personal like names, areas, or school names, and if you do, don't worry, I will edit it out. It's really important that our focus is on making genuinely impactful changes in our lives and giving too much attention to low vibrational topics, and people cannot be a priority in our lives and spaces. When you find yourself in a better socioeconomic standing as a Black woman, watch how your concerns and decision-making completely changes.